Want to bet? You can do it at Sports Interaction. It's Canada's sportsbook. Every hockey, football, and basketball game at your fingertips. And at the end of the week, World Cup, baby. Ooh, it's going to be fun. Bet pregame, live and play, or one of the many prop bets. Made for Canadians by Canadians. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, play, and cash out. Join now to see all that sports betting has to offer. Go to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Ontario only, 19 plus. Please play responsibly.
She scores!
Take a moment to look up at the ceiling. You're about to bust through it.
SDPN, the PWHPA and Sports Interaction, Canada's sportsbook, presents hockey like you've never heard it before. The Knoxy and Kax Show with Liz Knox and Karell Emard.
Let's get it. Go.
Hey, hockey fans. Welcome back to Knoxy and Kax on SDPN. With the rivalry series underway, we've got some highlight reel saves and goals to talk about, PWHPA All-Star updates, and of course, chatting with our very special guest, Marlène Boissonnoult.
Well done. Well done. I like it. Yeah. You did well.
Awesome.
Marlène Boissonnout.
I'm just going to call her Boss the rest of the episode because that's a lot easier for my English. Playing on the Secret Dream Gap Tour this year, of course, with Team Harvey's. But before we get into that, we want to start off with our news flash. We're starting off on a very sad note, actually. We want to start by sending our sincere well wishes and love to the 16 student athletes from St. Ignatius Prep School in Chicago. Their team bus was struck by a drunk semi-driver. So to their family, friends, the school, obviously all still processing this incredibly senseless act. We're thinking of everyone who's affected and wishing all a very speedy recovery. The hockey community is small and, we look to support each other in these times. So, incident very close to many of us, and we're just wishing you guys all well. From everyone here at Knoxy Kax and SDPN.
Yes, wishes are sent your guys' way. On switching gear here, as promised, as we did last week, we kind of gave up a little bit of a tease about the All-Star captains that would be announced. And as you may have seen, right? As you may have seen, it's been announced. So we just want to iterate who they are and everything. So again, All-Star Weekend in Ottawa in December. First captain we've got from Team Harvey's, Marie-Philippe Poulin.
Who would have picked that?
I don't know.
Who would have thought?
I may or may not have voted for that. Who knows? Probably half the world would have. But next up, we've got for Scotiabank is Megan Keller, which I'm pumped about as well, too. That's going to be a fun one. For Team Adidas, we got Sarah Nurse, another of our episode or guests that we had on our podcast. Please go check it out. And then for Team Sonnet, which you're about to, or you named Sunny, or did you mean to do that?
That was a little bit of a typo.
I like Sunny. No, Team Sonnet.
But we've got sunnier.
Team Sonnet. We'll have Hillary Knight as a captain as well too. So four, leaders from both Canada and the US. So well represented here. And again, thank you to everyone who voted. In the coming weeks, we will be releasing rosters as well too, and all the details in relation to that game, and probably the challenges that some of our athletes will be going through. So, the skills comp and everything, the individual stuff. So again, stay tuned, and stay tuned to our PWHPA account. And All-Star Weekend brought to you by Canadian Tire, December 9th and 11 in Ottawa. Be there.
Yeah, it's going to be so awesome with those four captains. I can't wait. I mean, it's going to be fun. It's going to be really fun. Happy to see those four. Yeah, can't go wrong. And speaking of Canada, USA, of course, rivalry series. If you're watching this now on Friday or later, there's actually been 2 games played, but we've only seen one because this is Thursday. So game 1, USA takes Canada 4-3 in a shootout. Of course, with that epic save by Nicole Hensley with 39.2 seconds left in overtime. We're so lucky to have Boss here because she's also a fantastic goalie playing in the PWHPA. Boss, did you get a chance to see that save on Pooh in the overtime?
Yeah, it's one of those that just your jaw is just on the floor and you're just, enjoying it. It's one of those where it's a show and she put on a show and it's just Yeah, that's it. And it's of all players, right? It's one of those where, no, beauty of a save, and it put them into the shootouts, and hey, they got the dub out of that. So that's a huge play.
I know. Ansley, I guess, followed her to a T, and I've seen that move actually in the PW showcase, I believe last I think she pulled that one in Montreal, if I recall it or anything. And Nicole Ansley got the best of this one. And the fact, and I don't know how hard that is, guys, I'm not a goalie, but the fact that she's moving laterally to the right, kind of stops herself with the right foot and then toes it with the left to bring that out. How are your growings after this?
I don't think even if physically I could do that my legs would span far enough to reach it. I think she would have had still like a foot, but Hensley has been on an absolute heater. Like, she has been lighting it up, and she did it in Toronto. She did it in Montreal. It's awesome to see her finding a good groove at this time of the season. And, you know, it's going to make for an exciting rivalry. I'm pumped to see it. And of course, in the shootout, because we can't just talk about goalies, but we will probably later in the show. So what happens when you bring goalies on the show? Yeah. But in the shootout, in the game too, like couple really nice goals, couple big goals. No surprise, I was very impressed by Alex Carpenter's shootout goal. I think she's like such an incredibly skilled player, and I probably say it every other show, if not every show. But
she sold that fake shot so hard. Yeah. I was like, man, I wanted Mash to make that save, to be completely honest. And I was like, oh my God, yes, that was like fake shot, like to a T. I mean, as a player, you want the goalie to bite this hard, right? And that was just amazing. And then, you know, on the other side, you have like Hillary Knight that comes in and just shoves it up top too. So 2 sick goal from the US. And then on our side too, like, I mean, anytime I go there, I hate shootouts, okay? And I'm no Potomac. I think she's the only person on earth who wants to get pick every time she goes out there. But the stress and everything attached to it, like, I know how it feels as a player. Boss, tell us how Mash and Hensley felt, right? Quickly, just there. I know it's a rivalry game and whatever, but just in general, like, penalty shot. I don't get it.
I think, like, for any goalies, when you go into a penalty shot, I don't know, I can't speak for them, but for me, like, and, like, obviously you can, like, speak on that too. For me, it's more like, it's a fun shootout thing. Like, it's almost like a little show. It's like a little competition that you don't really get to see in real games. So it's like this extra fun that hockey brings. Like, I don't know about you guys, but in practices, whenever we play, like, we have shootouts at the end of the practice, that's one of my favorite parts. Because ultimately, you just have a lot to try things out, and the girls are going to come out with the best moves that they have in their back pockets, right? And as a goalie, you're just, I don't know, to me, it's obviously there's a lot of skills and technique as to how to stop a shootout move. But I personally really like them. And, like, in games, I find myself, like, going to my Ds, and they're all like, oh, you got this. And I'm like, yeah, I do, because it's good. Like, it's going to be fun.
I do. That's the attitude right there.
That's probably why you're playing at this level and I'm not, because all I can think about in a shootout is, like, don't get scored on 5-hole. Like, I freaking hate 5-hole goals. And all I can think of is, like, I'm already like 4 feet tall in the net. Like, they should be going high on me. If they score 5-hole, like, well, I just think, but you're a competitor. You're a gamer. I love that. I love that answer. So let's get to Boss a little bit here. Playing on Team Harvey's in the PWHPA Secret Dream Gap Tour. We saw you play out in Truro. Was that 2 weekends ago now, I guess? 2 weekends. Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
So you were back out east. Not quite, I mean, a little further east than where you grew up. But why don't you tell us about your time back home in Dundee, New Brunswick?
I love that name.
Putting them on the map.
I want to go. The name just seemed fun.
It's a phenomenal place, and the name is pretty cool, and also the location in general. It's right by the shore. So, like, literally the rink I grew up at playing was right on the shore, and there's a lighthouse there, and it's as East Coast as you can imagine, and it's just a very small community. It's only French, so I grew up only speaking French, didn't really learn English until grade 10. I was able to kind of make myself be able to communicate with anybody in English just through hockey. You know, you learn kind of little lingos here and there, but yeah, never really spoke English till grade 10. I grew up in Dundee, played for the Minor Hockey Association there, called Dalhousie Minor Hockey Association. And then I went on to play eventually at prep school in grade 10. And that's when I guess my hockey career really kicked off, because that's when I got a few calls, whether it be from universities or from national teams. And then, so it all started in Dundee, New Brunswick. That's the location. And it was nice to go back on the East Coast for Nova Scotia. I hadn't been there since Christmas, and I'm not going again until Christmas. So it was nice to kind of touch base on the East Coast, breathe in that East Coast air.
That fresh East Coast air, baby.
Yeah, I love it. Hey, wait. So while you were growing up and before grade 10, did you play with the guys, the boys side, or the girls side as well too?
So I played with both, but mostly guys. I think I played girls my first year in midget. That was my first transition. And then after that, I went to prep school in grade 10. So like grade 9, I played midget AAA girls, but I was double carding. I was playing midget AAA girls and bantam AA boys. Yeah. Because I was in that age to do a bit of both. And then all before that, it was just boys, because it's such a small place. You don't have enough of a population to have enough girls that play hockey. So if you wanted to play hockey, you were a girl, you're playing on a boys team, or else there's not really a team to play on, right?
Yeah, that's kind of like everyone else's like scenario, but usually a little bit like, I was going to say a little bit older. So our generation usually gets that. I thought you'd maybe skip that and then had a bit more of like the girls kind of growing up playing hockey, and a little bit like Ontario has now here. Quebec is working on this and stuff, but yeah, regions or a smaller area, we have to play on the men's side usually. So just wanted to see what you did before you got to that beautiful prep school scenario.
Yeah, because I played with boys, but I played with Hockey New Brunswick. Right. I think it was a total of 6 years, maybe 7, starting at, is it U13 or U15 they start, or maybe younger, but I played with them for a while. And that obviously is just female. Female program. So I played with the female, provincial teams there. And I always had a girl on my team, me and Marie-Jo Pelletier, who played in the PHF for a while. For the Buffalo Beauts. Her and I we grew up together. She's from home, so we grew up together all the way, and she went to RNS with me as well. We both decided to go there, and she went on and she played at UNH, and that's when we parted ways. But I'll always had that kind of girl on my team, so it was never fully boys, right, which is kind of nice. But yeah, I did have some like playing on girls teams through Hockey New Brunswick and things like that, and eventually Ross and Edwards School, where I fully transitioned into girls. That's
hockey. Awesome that you guys were like that. Your trajectory was that similar for like your entire career, because we were talking about that last episode. Like it's pretty rare, especially when you're from a smaller town, to like have somebody that you kind of grew up playing with and get to see their journey. So why don't you take us to Rothesay Netherwood School. Let's call it RNS. That's a lot easier.
Yeah.
So first of all, tell us where it is and like how that whole process works. Like when you're on the East Coast, we had Jill Saulnier on last season, and this is like something that's very foreign to at least Ontario kids, because we just have so many options of where to play. So why don't you tell us a little bit about that process and in your grade 10 year and how that transitioned you to playing NCAA hockey?
Yeah. So basically, I decided to go to Ross and Edwards School in grade 10. I was supposed to go grade 9, but given that I'm from a very small town and I'm from a family of 6 kids, so when mom heard that there was one of them that would leave the nest, we're 6 kids in 6 years, no twins, so like super, super tight in age. My parents were a little bit reluctant at sending me at a young age, sending me out 5 hours from mine, because RNS is in St. John kind of area. Like the city's called Rothesay, but it's St. John, which is about 4 or 5 hours where I was from, and I would have to obviously live on campus full time in residences. And so I was supposed to go grade 9, but I held up one more year, went there in grade 10. And then in grade 10, when I decided to go there, actually my parents asked one of my brothers if they wanted to go there and study there as well. And he was good enough at hockey, and he played with the boys team. So him and I went there, and I guess that was kind of the way for my parents to kind of swallow that pill a little bit easier, that we wouldn't be by ourselves. So me and my brother, we went there, and he played on the boys team, I played on the girls team. And Ross Another School offers obviously a lot of tournaments and a lot of showcases in a lot of different places. Mostly throughout East, but we went to play at Winnipeg once. Like, we played a little bit out West. But overall, that's what really got me exposed to the recruitment processes. And ultimately, it got me calls through Hockey Canada. That's when I think I was grade 10, 2014. I got my first call with the Hockey Canada U18 program. Went there and obviously went through all the camps and everything. Was fortunate enough to make the U18 program, and then eventually made my way up into the U22 program. And then I got called up by various universities, and I decided to go to Cornell University out of the list that I had was fortunate enough to choose out of, and Cornell was just the best fit for me. And yet again, took me further away from home. That was 14 hours from home. I was going to say.
How did your parents and your other 5 siblings deal with that?
Seriously.
So it was definitely interesting, but by that point, so I have 2 older brothers above that one that went to school with me. So it's 3 boys, 3 girls in that order. I'm the oldest of the girls.
Okay.
And the closest boy to me is the one who went to prep school with me. And the 2 other ones, by the time I graduated, they had been in university. So my mom was kind of getting...
She's used to it now. She had a vibe of, like, she knew what was going to happen, how she'd feel. But you were the first daughter, so that's different too, just so you know. That's hard. That's hard for mom.
And I was also the first one to go so far away. My brothers went to UWM, which is University of Moncton, and one went to Dal, which is Nova Scotia. So ultimately, it was still on the East Coast. Meanwhile, I just shipped it to New York, and it made for a very interesting time.
Ithaca, New York. Hey, you just went from like legit being on the shore to like in the middle of the woods a little bit, you know. I went to Kenton, New York. It's all good. Kenton, New York. There's Ithaca. There's Hamilton, New York too. You know, we're all like 2.5 hours away, about 3. Okay, but wait, time out. I want to bring it back. 6 kids. Okay, 6 kids, right? You
guys had a full starting lineup.
Seriously. Did they put you in that and just said, boss, we need to shoot on something, right? It needs to happen, right? How did you become, like, just go through the process. So 2 brothers that probably played too, or no? Yeah. Let's just start with that first. Played. Okay. So, all 6 kids are.
So one of my oldest brothers, so the second oldest, he was a goalie as well.
Okay.
And he was a goalie before I was a goalie, and my dad was a goalie. My dad decided to pick up goaltending in adult years, just playing with local leagues or whatever it is. And when I was growing up, and I started as a player really young, like young enough where I don't really remember it.
Yeah.
But I do remember wanting to be a goalie for the sole reason, because I wanted to be a copycat. Like, I was seeing my brother, and it seemed so much fun that he played here, and he had all that. I don't know, it was just this unique thing, and I would get to go see my dad play, and he would strap on the pads, and it just seemed like such a unique position, where you weren't just a sheep, like, quote unquote, everybody else. Everybody were players, right? I want
Kax is sheep.
Whoa, time out. I mean, there's some kind of, you said unique, and I love that word because it is unique that you want to get hit by a puck all freaking game long. It is unique to think that this is going to be awesome, but yet I get the vibe about, I just want more equipment. I want to look cool. I get a little bit. My brother was a goalie, okay, for a bit, so I get it. I put him in that though. That's why. That's what happened. So I was trying to see if your brothers or brother actually kind of was shooting on you and your brother, I guess, at that point, right?
No, I kind of chose to become a goalie, and all the other ones are players, so we didn't quite have a full lineup unless we played 4v4 with 2 goalies. But ultimately, my dad actually didn't allow my brothers to shoot on me for the longest time, because my brothers, they were much bigger and much stronger than I was, until I became strong and big and whatnot. But for the longest time, I wasn't allowed to get shots from them, actually. Like, my dad would refuse to let them shoot.
I mean, a concussion could have happened quick, you know, and if it's outside, you know, and I'm just thinking, I'm picturing this
and especially like siblings, like if you got beef with your siblings and you're going to let them rip some pucks at you, like, it doesn't take a mathematician to figure out what's going to happen here, right?
Exactly. I mean, we grew up with an ODR. My dad built an ODR in our backyard. So, like, if we were to go out there, my dad would tell my brothers, like, it's shots that are low, or like you're not shooting well. It was that simple. And but yeah, we grew up with an ODR, so 6 of us were on there. I would strap up the pads, or sometimes I would just go as a player, obviously, to shoot. But yeah, it was a blast. 6 of us playing, and then I'm the only one who went on to play in university. And then, yeah, like all my 2 youngest sisters also went to RNS after I finished my first year there. My second year, they joined as well because my parents saw the value of the program and learning English, and that opening doors in itself. And they both played hockey at the school as well, onto those teams. And yeah, after that, they moved on to playing different sports. All of my siblings, except my 2 older brothers, actually played rugby in university.
Whoa.
So they picked up it was a competitive sport in university, and I wasn't allowed to play rugby, probably rightfully so, just because yeah, hockey for me was one of those things where I didn't want to mess it up. So
right, no, that makes sense.
Yep. I totally get that.
That makes total sense. And then, the prep school was like Team Boissonneau, basically, eh? Like from both sides.
You guys ran that show.
Definitely. There was a lot of us out there for a while, for sure.
That's amazing.
That's awesome. Do you guys still get on the ODR at home at Christmas time? Do your parents still make one, or you find it?
Honestly, we don't have the ODR at home anymore because all 6 of us being so close in age, now all of us have graduated university. I think one is left in university, the youngest one is left in there, but all of us have we're kind of in that phase that is a little bit, we're moving from home kind of phase. So the ODR hasn't been put up and frozen over at our place in a while. But every time I do go home, the local rink, the Dalhousie Minor Hockey Rink, they'll allow me to go on there, and I go on there, strap on the pads. My dad will actually come out too, because my dad was my coach growing up.
That's amazing.
And he'll still strap on the skate, come out. And I don't have a goalie coach right now at home in Dundee, so whenever I want to go on, my dad will come on and he'll be my goalie coach. Even now,
I love that.
And he coached me when I was in minor hockey, and he still coaches me today.
See, he's doing
cool.
the
It's
wrap.
a family affair.
Yeah, he started, and now he's kind of like finalizing and, tweaking the stuff, that TPG can do. So, K9, watch out.
K9, look out. Yeah. Mr. Boss is coming for your job.
Seriously.
So let's take us then a little bit into your time at Cornell. You're there 15 to 19. Maybe talk us through quickly, your decision to go there, and then kind of your experience on campus, being a student athlete and studying pre-med.
Yeah. Yeah. And I kept myself busy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and Boss, if you want to do like the pre-COVID no, that's true. You didn't even go through COVID at all, was it? 2020 was COVID. No, you skipped it. Yeah, good for you. This is amazing.
Skipped it in college. Didn't skip it in life. By the way.
Yeah.
No. So I went there in 2015, right after Ross and Edward School. And I chose to go to Cornell because I was looking for something that would really have the balance of being a student and being an athlete. And Cornell obviously is an Ivy League school, so it goes without saying that the schooling program is outstanding. And eventually I want to become a doctor. So I wanted to have something that's going to be very challenging, but something that I would have in my back pocket, a diploma or, a bachelor that would be very strong. And so Cornell obviously had that. And ultimately too, when I was comparing to other schools that has that very strong, schooling background. When it came down to hockey, I really loved the coaching staff. Doug Dureau was one of the main factors as to why I went there. Coaching staff was outstanding. You can see they were very, very involved. The team was very close. The environment was phenomenal. The team culture was outstanding. The school itself is very much so just the campus. A lot of schools you'll see that the campus is spread throughout a city, or sometimes it's spread throughout, regular city population. But Cornell is very much so just Cornell campus. So when you're walking around, it's long. It's a big school, but you stayed within the school, like anywhere you were. So there was a lot of factors that went into it, and also it was on the East Coast. I know at one point I was considering Wisconsin, and Wisconsin was 38 hours from home. So my parents were saying, like, well, if you do go to Wisconsin, because they would have supported me wherever, they said, like, we're going to have to fly there, right? It is what it is, but we won't be able to go there as often as if ever you go somewhere closer. So Cornell being closer, just 14 hours, all my home games.
Just 14 hours. Here we go.
My parents would do it in one trip. So they would go down, Dad would finish work, on a Friday or something, or on a Thursday, and they would just drive down 14 hours straight.
Hockey
just swap
parents,
back and
baby,
forth.
right there. True and
so
true.
they were right there with. And Cornell was definitely one of the best times of my hockey career. It's one of those places that I'll always cherish. And I was lucky enough that it was not during COVID. So when I graduated, the year after was when COVID hit, and when the team was kind of stripped of their ability to fight in the Frozen Fours. But I was lucky enough where my senior year, we actually were able to go to the Frozen Four. We came up short. We lost in the semis, but ultimately, I have nothing but fond memories of Cornell and my teammates there, teammates that I'm still very good friends with. So ultimately, Cornell was the place for me, and I made the right choice.
I love it. I have to ask, what was the rivalry like? Was it like biggest rivalry? Was it Colgate Cornell type of deal, or was it an Ivy school type of deal here?
It was Harvard
for you, okay. Okay.
Harvard and Princeton were the biggest rivalries. Colgate was a rivalry, but they were our road team.
Yeah.
So it was kind of a rivalry in the sense where every weekend we could like fully match up, like how did they do compared to us this weekend?
Yeah.
But they were such a rivalry. Cornell has this very cool thing, especially on the men's side, where I think Cornell is ranked one of the best like barns to go to, like one of the best hockey spots or hockey rinks to attend. Because
I love going there back then.
Like for things
the
like
fans
Harvard,
are great.
Fans will sneak in fish, like dead fish, and they'll put fish on the ice for games against Harvard. For I can't remember if it's Princeton or one of the other teams, they'll throw tennis balls on the ice. There's at one point for the lineup of Harvard
newspaper.
They'll have newspapers,
yes,
and they'll read the newspaper and then scribble it up and throw it on the ice, basically not giving a crap about who the lineup is.
I know, I love that.
Awesome.
So like they're naming you like Liz number 37, 27, Liz Knox, and everyone has their newspaper. No one's like cheering. I love it. And you know what? I should have known the Harvard thing, because in the ECAC at some point it was hosted by Cornell, and we were playing Harvard, and Cornell's band showed up to cheer on St. Lawrence to beat Harvard. Like, it was like, I always loved playing at Cornell too. The fans, like, it's again, small town, but yet like Ithaca is so good, and they are big fan of the Big Red, like Bruno, the bear, whatever. They love him, that little mascot too. But yeah, anyways, I was curious because you're like barely, like you're 40 minutes, not even, what is it from Hamilton? You're not that far. Like it's down.
It's not that far at all.
I should know. I coach at Colgate. Should know this.
I won't say like an hour. I mean, I should know this too.
An hour. You're right. Because it's 40 minutes from Syracuse, and then an hour something maybe. Okay. Well, it's not 15 minutes like St. Lawrence and Clarkson, but I just wanted to see if you had a little.
But since you guys are talking about commuting, this is a question that I feel like I have to ask every NCAA athlete now. Did you have a scooter on campus?
Oh, you know what? I did not, because Cornell was very small. You didn't really require a scooter.
Okay, Jill Saunier, we're gonna call her out for that.
Just, maybe just some rollerblades next time, Jill. Gosh.
Rollerblades were really popular at Cornell, but there were a lot of schools that basically when you go there, and I went to tour some schools or do some official visits, and they had scooters. And it almost came down as like not quite a deciding factor, but it was one of those like this school has scooters, this school doesn't. Like it is
Wisconsin.
It is a deciding factor. It is a deciding factor for people who are not studying pre-med.
Yeah. Not to toss anyone under the bus, but
no shots taken. No shots taken here, but it would have sold me for sure.
100%. I think it sold on a couple other people. Like, we've talked about Wisconsin and, top of the line type of like facilities and everything. I guarantee Nurse, Clarkie, and if Hillary Knight gets on our show here, they all loved the scooter because they all had one. I'm pretty sure. Actually, I don't know about Nursey, but I know Clarkie and Nighter had one. So I think scooters were part of the deal. I think so.
Yeah, it's a bribery. Okay. And so I did want to say, so you mentioned earlier that you want to be a doctor. Is this still a goal of yours? I mean, obviously we'll talk a little bit more now about post Cornell, post-grad, where hockey has taken you and where you hope it goes. But where does med school then fit into the hockey world? Because this is the reality of like
women's hockey,
all female athletes, definitely women's hockey, but all female athletes is like our backup plan is like a career, which in Boss's case is to be a doctor. So it's pretty boss. Take us there.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. So I've always said that I want to go to med school, and it's still the case. But I've come to realize the first year that I came out of school, I wanted to write the MCATs, which is the admission test to get into med school on top of your GPA and all that. And I came to study it, and the commitment that you have to put into studying for that, and obviously to get good grades and to actually invest yourself, is very time consuming. And to be an athlete, and especially a pro athlete, that in itself is a full-time job, kind of commitment. So ultimately, it was hard juggling both. I was able to do it for a couple of months until COVID hit. And when COVID hit, I started really studying a lot, and almost took the exam, but then the exam had a lot of delays and being pushed over and things like that due to COVID. And so ultimately, I kind of took a step back from it, having studied it for about a year. And I told myself, you know what, I'm going to commit to being an athlete, because COVID kind of opened up that door of there's no practice, there's no, on ice development or anything like that. So you had to be really creative to train. And I decided to kind of really commit to finding creative ways to train and to basically stay at the top of my game. And so I decided that, you can always go back to studying, you can always go back to school, but you can't go back to playing pro hockey. You've
heard it here. I love it.
It just gave me chills, man.
So ultimately what I found too is I kind of started falling in love with coaching. Calgary has a lot of coaching opportunities. I moved here initially and I started coaching with Top Prospect Goaltending with Brad Kirkwood. Mm-hmm. And that opened me a lot of doors, and I still coach with him significantly, but that opened me a lot of doors at coaching in a variety of places here, from minor hockey through university. And so I started doing a lot of coaching, a lot of private coaching, to kind of help pay bills and things like that, especially with the early years of PWHPA where we weren't, getting paid full livable wages. So that definitely helped, and I fell in love with it. So ultimately it's I'm sitting in an exciting place where I do want to go to med school, and it is something I will do. But right now I'm sitting kind of in a place where my life is kind of surrounded by hockey, whether it be by coaching, by playing it, or whatever else. It's a very cool place to be. So I'm just savoring the moment as much as I can, because like I said, I can always go back to med school, but I can't go back to do what I'm doing now. So that's the motto I'm going by. Right
girl.
We love it. Yeah. As you should.
Spoken like a true boss.
Yeah.
And hey, if Haley Wickenheiser can do it after, her long, illustrious career, then who's to say that you can't, right? I mean, you have all the tools.
Absolutely. And I've been dibbling and dabbling in a bunch of things. And earlier we talked about it, Knoxy. I even had a couple calls of doing some broadcasting. I started doing some broadcasting for UFC games and things like that. Yeah, so
she's coming for my job. You heard it here on our own podcast. I think Boss is coming for my job.
I think we should evaluate that for sure, and then see how it goes and who wins. Who's the best color commentator here? I love it.
Why don't you tell us about how the opportunity came up first of all, and then your experience, because it's not an easy thing, honestly. Like the commentating is very nerve-wracking, I would say. Much more nerve-wracking than any time I ever played.
Oh.
Yes, I would 100% agree with that, and I agree. So when I started coaching, initially I thought coaching was nerve-wracking because you're on a completely different ball side of the game. And
you control nothing. That's why.
The amount of things that you do behind the scenes as a coach that no one ever sees, but that you have to do in order to be prepared, in order for your team to succeed, is tremendous. What the people will see, the tip of the iceberg that people will see might be a couple hours here every week or whatever, but below the iceberg, there's hours and there's so much commitment into coaching, right? Yeah. And when it came to the broadcasting side of thing, it was kind of that similar feel that I had of there's so much going on. You have to know stats. You have to know a lot of pieces about all the players, and you have to know about the team and the opponent team and the league stats and everything about what's going on versus just stopping a puck.
Yeah.
So
it's a good way to put it, right?
It's very cool. But it's very cool, being able to give my perspective. I'm a goalie, so being able to give my perspective from the goalie's eye is something that UFC hasn't had in the past as one of the broadcasting members. And no, it was Karell McLeod who reached out to me, who's the coach for UFC, and she just asked, hey, would you be willing to do the whole broadcasting game, see how it fits, see if it's a fit. And I figured, why not? Like, I'm here. It'll be one of those things where I'm gonna look back and think like, hey, I did this, and who knows where it'll bring me. So it's
as you should.
So I never say.
I was just gonna say, clearly, like, you tried it once, and now you still are going. So first of all, she's probably killing it, Knoxy. So she's definitely coming for your job.
Sure she is.
Second of all, does it get easier? Let's ask both of you, because I do think that the prep and everything, the more you do, obviously you get to know UFC on a different level, but then the other teams like coming in and stuff, like, does your prep get a little bit smaller, or does it get easier just in general to just be in the feel of the game and saying what you want to say on the fly?
Let's ask Knoxy this one, because I've yet to find it.
Well, once I learned how to read the Sport Logic stat sheet, it got a lot easier. But there was a lot of shit on there that I was like, what am I reading? Like I'm used to shots on goal, save percentage, win-loss, obviously columns, and then like a plus minus. Like, give me something simple. Maybe some PIMs if I'm looking at Kax's or stats, right?
0 this year.
But no, you're right. I think the really cool thing I found in Churro was like starting to see teams as like a whole versus like just focusing on individual players. So like, this is why like I'm always curious to ask, especially our PA athletes, like, how is your team identity developing? Because you're on these brand new rosters, and like you have great coaching, but it's so brand new. It's not like you've been with this coach for 10 years, 4 years, 2 years, even. Like, it's a whole new system, and the coaches are still trying to figure out what tools they have in their toolbox. Like, who is this, who can play this role, or who can do this? Right. And like, so I found once I like understood or could see the teams developing, it was easier to like build a story around them, but it doesn't come easily. And I was never, I don't know about you, boss, but I was never like a stats monkey. Like when I played, like I never looked at my stats. I don't like it didn't really matter to me. Honestly,
she was just too good. It didn't want to like pump their own tires. So
no, it was more like it had the potential to like mind fuck myself. It was like, oh, like you've stopped, whatever. You haven't stopped this shot. Yeah. So it's like, I just didn't want to know. Mm-hmm. And now that like I'm on more on like the broadcasting side, I realize like how much value stats add to like understanding the game, but I'm in a safer place to look at them now. So I think that's...
Boss, how do you feel about it now? I don't know if you get as much stats as she gets, obviously, now, but even just like getting the details of like where they're at, what they're doing so far this season, kind of like what we should expect type of thing for each individual player.
UFC is quite phenomenal, where they, like when I got there, I was very impressed with how formal and super detail oriented they are. So like you sit there, you have a laptop with all the stats, you have, obviously you have your headset, your mic and everything, but they give you all the sheets, they give you all the rosters, they give you the starting lineups and everything like that. And they'll fill you into the past games, what happened in the past games, and how the special teams have been doing and all that. So when I sit there, I get a very good idea of what's going on. So that's been good. And it makes it that I don't have to do it myself. Does that make sense? Like, would I have to sit there and go through all the stats and go through everything that's happened? That would be a bit overwhelming. But no, these couple times that I've done some games, I just sit there and I just, listen, and then I play it by ear as I go, which is, I'm getting better at it. And talking live while something's happening, I find myself sometimes watching the game versus commenting on the game.
Yeah.
So that's
I always like a big save happens. I like have to flip the mic up because I'm like, holy, like what a save! It's not the broadcasting they want.
No, I don't think so.
And you mentioned Karell McLeod, so we got to shout her out because obviously coaching the Czech team this past
huge,
and she's a product of Hockey Canada. Obviously, still giving back to the game. Just an incredibly valuable person, I think. I just wanted to make sure we gave her a proper acknowledgement on this show because, she's been amazing. She's called games, she's coaching, she's played. Like, she's just been one of those people who's stuck around in the women's game, continue to give back. So we want to thank her.
Absolutely. We should bring her up on this podcast, too. I think we got a lot to learn from her.
Hey.
Hey, you know what? And Carla always tells the best stories.
Yep.
So if you have the podcast, you will not be disappointed.
I love it.
Probably
This is awesome.
that.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool.
All right. So we'll get into some of the other stuff we have here. Like, okay, what order do I want to bring these up in? Okay, because you talked about it already. You said, during COVID, you had to find some creative ways to get your training in. If you follow Boss on Instagram or TikTok or Twitter or any of these social media things, you have like some awesome content, not only of yourself, like crease captures, like just crisp movements, like good head, hands movement. Like for young goalies, honestly, like I would recommend watching your videos, just very, very crisp. But then you also like dabbled into like the virtual reality. And so why don't you talk us through some of those like cool tools that you've been using more over COVID, but I'm sure you're still using them now.
Yeah, I'm still using them now, not as regularly because now we have much more access to ice, but it's still a part of my game. But that came into play during COVID when everything was shutting down and there was no access to ice. Sense Arena is one of those companies that I reached out to, and I basically told them, like, listen, like right now with everything going on, like, what is your program about, or is this something I could benefit from? And they were phenomenal. They basically like showed me how you can still practice and you can still do so much of your hockey development literally while being in your living room and just needing a 4x4 area. And it's quite phenomenal. The VR, like you kind of escape from reality, right? Like as virtual reality would explain. And yeah, it was really cool. You get to go through drills. It's not just stopping shots. It's like literally like 2-on-1s. PK scenarios, power play scenarios, like it's super.
Okay, this is in depth. Yeah, like you're getting faced to like hockey situations all day. Like it's like wow.
Honestly, it's really cool. And when you make saves too, the controllers are attached to your gloves, so you're not holding on to the controllers. You're really holding on to your gear, and you're holding your stick and everything. So it really feels like your gear. And when you make the saves, the controller will vibrate, and since it's attached to your glove, it'll make your whole glove vibrate. So like when you catch a puck, you really feel it. Like you feel it, you caught the puck. Or if you make a block save, it kind of knocks the controller, or the controller kind of shakes so that you feel it, you made the save. So, virtual reality is really cool things that I really enjoyed. And COVID was tremendous for COVID times.
Okay, Boss, I have to ask, did you or did you not during COVID put your entire equipment on and do a practice, or you just put the gloves on inside in your house, in your living room?
In my living room, I cannot say that I dressed up in my...
Damn! I was hoping you'd have like a picture or something.
No, but you know what? So I don't know if you guys have seen the PWHPA, one of the reels they posted of me knocking on the door.
Yeah.
So that was the first time that I actually wore more than my gloves in my apartment. Okay. And I had to do it in the apartment door of the like condo complex or whatever. So people walking by, and it was just a few days after Halloween. Some people were walking by, they were giving me the look of like,
Halloween
was, like,
costume.
Oh, this girl goes all out, man.
She really loves Halloween. Damn, it's been 3 days. She's still doing it. She wants candies, I guess. That's what it is. Okay, cool. I was curious because like it's one thing. I mean, you shoot with just your skates or whatever, but then shooting with your whole equipment. So I was wondering if you get the, I guess, if you try to get the max out of it and then fully dressed in your living room in front of your couch.
Could you imagine like looking across like a condo though and like seeing some fucking weirdo in their full goalie equipment like in the kitchen?
What I was able to do is, so obviously I had those gloves and I was able to work on that and put some padding on the ground and still do the movements.
Yeah.
But Brian Kirkwood, a part of TPG, or owner of TPG, with him in his garage, he had put like a synthetic sheet in his garage. Like he really did this during COVID and put in a net there. So you were able to go there by yourself, and then eventually when you were able to do one-on-one times with COVID regulations or whatever, you could have a shooter there. And so I was able to go there even though no rinks were open and no rinks even had ice because of COVID. I was able to go literally in the garage. It was super hot because it was during the summer. But it was one of those things where you just found ways to be creative. And I was literally training in a garage on synthetic ice, absolutely sweating like 5 minutes in, like I've never sweated before. And I made it work. And ultimately, that's how I kept developing during COVID. That on top of a lot of things, obviously. But yeah, I got creative.
That's awesome.
I love it.
What are you willing to do, right? Like the lengths you're willing to go to. I love that. I do want to talk about TPG and K9 and your work, not only as an instructor there now, but underneath him. I wanted to ask you, did you like diverge at all out of the goaltending virtual reality into like, I've seen some awesome like fail videos of like street fighting and like walking the plank. Did you do any of that stuff? I did the one where you like are tightrope walking like between two buildings. And Lauren Gable actually, like, cause she lived with us last year, I did it on hers, and we set up like a little board, like just like 1 inch off the ground, like not a real board, but so you like try to walk on it, and I fell like in the game, and oh my God, in real life, I was down on all fours, like I literally like it's enough to give somebody a heart attack. It was fucking terrifying. Yo, yeah, it was so scary.
I would for sure.
Did you do any of those?
Oh, go ahead.
Or did you stick to business?
I definitely like, it's a virtual headset, so definitely you're gonna go and try things out. And something else I did during COVID is I started dabbling into vision training. So I wasn't able to be on the ice, so I decided like, oh, what else can I do? And there's Dr. Christopher Wu here, who's a visual sports vision coach or sports vision doctor. And there's a lot of apps that would actually work on your vision, and some of them, I kid you not, you're like, I don't remember what the game is called, but you're walking and you're shooting people and you're dodging bullets. And it's one of those things where it works on your vision because it works on your peripheral vision, because shots or bullets go everywhere and you have to dodge them, and you see another one coming, you have to dodge it. And that was a really fun one. At one point I tried doing roller coaster ones, but like the roller coaster ones always made me feel like sick. And I would just, it's so disorienting. Because like your body's not moving at all, but your mind thinks that you're like going. Yes,
like, that's crazy.
And being, like,
I never put myself through it, because I would 100% be one of those that runs into a wall or like something getting it too like intense, or like I walk in the house and someone like makes me like, I jump at nothing. So I would be probably scared of anything that would come at me. Like I don't know. I'm scared of a freaking bird coming towards my windshield. Like I die. Like
I see a segment coming on. I think this would be hilarious. It's like on the Ellen show, and she always scares, what's her little sidekick's name now? I don't remember his name. Always sends them into like the haunted houses.
I would be like, I can't watch scary movies still. I try to watch The Watcher on Netflix yesterday. I don't watch it. Like I couldn't sleep after. Like I'm one of those. So yeah.
Oh,
anyways, sorry, I didn't mean to do it, but I'd be.
No, that's all good. That's all good. So yeah, boss, back to you.
Virtual reality. So you did something that, you used to train. I love that. Even shooting, I guess, not really the best way to do it, but shooting at people.
It's all like, yeah. Yeah. Don't be dodging too many things in those games.
Yeah, you gotta hit those, eh?
But why don't you talk about K9 and TPG and just kind of your like path training out in Calgary there?
Yeah, so when I moved here, I started training with K9. I knew K9 really well from the national team. And essentially when I moved here, he has a business called Top Prospect Goaltending. And through that business, he's able to train a bunch of goalies privately, semi-privately, go to practices, attend games, break down video, whatever it is. And he has like a variety of things he can do for all goalies. And it was a no-brainer to me when I came here that I wanted to work with him. And he kind of took me under his wing and helped me develop my game and helped me, become a better goalie. And ultimately, I chose to ask him to start being in coaching. And it was kind of a no-brainer given where I was and the knowledge of the game that I had that I wanted to do it. And fortunately enough, he took me on and I became a coach for him, under him. And I started coaching goalies at all ages, initially starting just on the younger side because I had only done a couple coaching sessions here and there throughout the university and prior. And then once I got comfortable with it and once I got comfortable with knowing how much I know and how much I can make an impact, I started coaching higher levels and very quickly started coaching university levels. And I realized that I can have a very quick, direct impact on goalies. And so I took it on pretty much full time. And I coach all over the place, multiple different teams, anywhere from AAA to university to minor hockey to U15s. It's a bit everywhere. And I do anything from private sessions to, group sessions to team attendance, like team practice attendances and
really
everything.
Cool.
But yeah, K9 was a huge development into that. And when I moved here too, he really helped me grow because in the PWHPA, we only had a certain certain amount of practice, certain amount of games the first few years, just with everything starting off.
Right.
And he helped me get on the ice a lot and helped me see a lot of shots. And had it not been for him, I probably would have kind of plateaued, but I've only been exponentially growing since I moved here. So that's a big kudos to him. And yeah, he opened doors for me for coaching. So
and then,
I can't say enough about the guy.
Yeah,
it's pretty awesome.
Just for our listener, this is we're talking about Brad Kirkwood, and he is the national women's hockey team, I guess, goalie coach. I worked with him in some of the camps. He was my favorite as well too, as a human and as a coach. So as a boss, I'm sure he's great too. And yeah, he's amazing for his players. So I can only imagine how much help he was during COVID and how much help he is in Calgary here on the women's and the men's side, right? Because he does it's goalies like from everywhere, correct?
We're all ages, all levels, all genders. It's very, very big. It's very open. And it's a phenomenal goal. I'd say one of the best in North America at that. So, yeah.
Love that. Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about him. So I want to make sure we get TPG in there. Speaking of, I think we only have a couple things left. I did want to go back to our first point, which we skipped over, but is probably my most exciting question. Talk us through your new pads, your new CCM pads. Saw the release on Instagram, TikTok. It, like I said before, like goalie equipment, it does something to us. It gets us all hot and excited. So hot and bothered.
Hey, it's true. That's the one thing that only has like exclamation mark beside the topics that she needed to ask. So, boss, please go ahead. Make her day.
With the yellow, man. I'm sad to see the yellow go.
That's true.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sad to see the yellow go too. And the yellow was actually pretty nice. It was actually a gear set from I can never say his first name, but Saros from Nashville. It was his goalie set. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, very fortunate. Basically, what happened during COVID, CCM were huge. And since my gear that was supposed to be produced that year wasn't able to be produced, and the set I had been in had been completely worn out, and I was desperately needing new gear, CCM stepped in. And since there was no gear that could be made with the NHL, they have a couple sets on hand, right? So they looked in the NHL who has the closest specs to me, and Saros luckily did, and so they sent me his gear. And I wore it since, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. Obviously, I'm a goalie who's always worn white, so when I had to go full yellow, initially they called it gold. It's not gold; it's yellow. Okay. When I had to go full yellow, it was a very interesting jump. It was weird when I was seeing myself in the glass. It was like, whoa, it's not me. You know? Like,
scary.
Yeah, but then I guess it kind of helped me grow into this new set of gear that I designed for Team Harvey's, where I added colors to it. You know, the inside of the pad is navy. I have a lot of orange highlights through the logos and things like that. And then I stuck with white for the rest. And then the gloves have a lot of navy on them. And it matches just super, super well with the Harvey's logo. And I guess as one of those, not behind the scene, but as a first take, I'm actually designing my goalie helmet right now. And the goalie helmet I just shipped it today. Yeah, so I just shipped it today. I got the full design made up, and the artist showed me the design. So I'm not going to show the design quite yet. I guess we'll have to see the bucket fully. But within a week, 2 weeks here, there's going to be an Instagram reveal of that.
You guys killed me.
Yes, let's go. An unexpected little treat there. Yeah. I'm so excited to see that. And I did notice on the new pads, stitched on the toe, and I believe on both glove and blocker, you have never twice written. Yeah. The words never twice, not never, never. The words never twice.
That's a good point. Good clarification.
Just wanted to clarify. Yep. Why don't you tell us what the meaning behind that is, or significance, if you can divulge your secrets.
No, of course. I don't have secrets. No, ultimately, I went for never twice. I've always had never twice since I was a little kid. It's my dad initially that him and I were listening to Martin Brodeur. At one point, obviously a very stellar goaltender with a phenomenal career. And at one point, he said that as a goalie, he can only do so much, but one thing that he can do is he can make sure that he never does the same mistake twice. So from that, I kind of when I had gear, I was not so keen about putting my name on it because ultimately, like, I know it's my gear. So for me, it was more like, what else can I put on there? Well, for me,
That's fine.
because a lot of goalies will write little things in their blockers and their couple places with reminders, right? Like little tape. A lot of goalies, maybe it's a thing that players all know, but goalies behind the blocker.
We do it on our sticks. You got to see it on the. Some people do it like a little something on our stick. Yeah,
just little reminders.
So for me, I just decided to put something permanent on there pretty early on, and it's the never twice. So never making the same mistake twice is my motto, and I've had that since the first not hand-me-down gear I've had, which might have been when I went to RNS. But yeah, that's what I've always had since I had it through university, and I didn't have it on the Saros gear, obviously. It said Saros on there because that was his gear. And yeah, this next set, I went back to having never twice on there. And that's
your motto. I like it. I like that a lot too. Never twice. It's a fun one. It's a live and learn type of deal. I love it.
That's fantastic. Yeah, really, really cool. I'm the idiot who put my name on it to make sure I knew it was mine. So
Knox. There's so many Knox out there. Liz Knox. Knoxy.
Actually, Howie designed my pads my last year in Markham, and because like I'm, as much as I love goalie pads, I know very little about them. Jeez. So she designed them for me, and she put like Knoxy with my number so that I definitely knew they were mine.
Okay, well,
but I love that. That's a great idea. Yeah, it's Howie's fault.
What would be your little quote though? Before we go back to
my
boss,
quote? Probably no 5-hole.
Okay, sure. You really hate
That's all I can think about in a shootout.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. So, okay, couple last questions here. Yeah. You talked about coaching. You're coaching the U18 Team Alberta, which is big for you because you were on Team Atlantic, right?
Yeah, or Team New Brunswick.
Team New Brunswick.
Yeah,
for the games.
2 years.
That's true.
Yeah, yes. Yeah. So 2023 Canada Winter Games in PEI. The games are February 18th to March 5th, but women's hockey starts on February 27th. So will you be kind of out of commission that week then? You're going to be full on coaching that Team Alberta?
Yeah, I'm fully committed to them for that week, and it'll be I'll be flown out to PEI with the team, and we're going to go out there and do some damage.
Damn. So Team Alberta, right? Going to PI. Yeah. So you're going to East Coast again, but coaching. Yeah. Okay. Let's go.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting because I've played with that Team Atlantic that we're going to play the games. Yeah. So I know a lot of the coaches.
I was going to say.
I know a lot of the background of that team. It'll be interesting, but ultimately, it's a lot of people like to ask me like, how does it feel to essentially be a trader? Kind of joking around. And ultimately, I see it as I'm developing the women's game or the girls' game in Canada, right? And that's all I'm here for in North America, however you want to see it. Whether it be New Brunswick,
love it.
Whether it be Alberta, is growing the women's game, right? And being able to give back however I can, and that funnels into it all, right? So it's unfortunate that I can't be with Team New Brunswick because truly that's where my roots are, and obviously I'm very much so rooting for them. But at the same time, here is my home. Right now, like Alberta has been my home for the past 3 years and for another however long. So ultimately, I'm rooting for Team Alberta.
I get it. That's good. Yeah. That's good. I just
best case scenario finals against Team Atlantic and Alberta takes the cake, but
maybe in a shootout after some stellar goaltending.
Let's get that scenario. It's like a movie.
We're writing it for you. No, I love that. Honestly, Boston, you're a great ambassador for the game, and we're happy to have you part of the PWHPA. These are the kind of people that we want representing our organization, and I think that speaks to kind of probably why you joined the PA in the first place, without getting too serious there. But Harvey's makes your hamburger a beautiful thing. This is my a beautiful thing question for you.
I love those.
You've been part of some elite goaltending duos, including PWHPA currents like Lindsay Browning, of course, Anne-Renee Desbiens and Jen Lacasse this year with Harvey's. Yep. What makes your goalie partnership a beautiful thing?
I would say camaraderie and being super light. I would say Lindsay Browning was one of my best goalie partners at Cornell. Obviously, I was there at Cornell with her for a couple of years, and she's in the PW this year, which is really exciting. And I've had tremendous goalie partners all around. it would be impossible to pick one best.
Okay.
But just for example, with Lindsey Browning, it was constantly getting to the rink every day and just cracking jokes, being like if you go in practice and you get absolutely lit up and it's not a good day, it's finding a way to kind of laugh it off and be like, you know what, like, shit happens kind of thing. Like,
absolutely.
Being able to stay light and having that camaraderie and just wanting to make each other better too. That's a big one. Ultimately, you are competitors, and it is competition for whoever's going to be in net, but you do not get to get in that net unless you're, the best goalie out there. I think the best players and the best goalies make their teammates better.
Yeah.
So I think that's a big part of it, is having a goalie partner who is there to make you better alongside making themselves better, of course. And that's what makes goalie partners a beautiful thing.
I love it.
She even crushes the line at the end. My God,
that was good.
Star drop.
Yep, we're done.
That's it. Honestly, like I said at the beginning, I don't remember if we were recording or pre-recording, but I haven't got to know Boss that well. A new player to the PA, and obviously started playing after my time. But I just think you're such an incredible ambassador for the game, and a great voice. Your English is fantastic, by the way.
Way better than
I took
mine.
French all the way to grade 10. Yeah, I took French from elementary school to grade 10, and it's gone. So I'm impressed. I'm very, very impressed. Honestly, thank you so much for coming on today. You're fantastic. We wish you luck with your coaching, your training, everything that you're doing for the PA and for women's hockey at large. It's awesome. There's no secret why they call you the boss.
Yeah.
It's a good nickname. It's perfect.
Yeah.
And you know what? Pour les gens de Dundee, on devrait faire juste une petite partie en français. Juste comme ça.
Ouais.
Moi, je te remercie d'être ici aujourd'hui. On va pas prendre trop de temps, mais on salue tout ton monde là-bas. D'où tu viens, qui ont grandi, qui ont fait qui tu es aujourd'hui. So, si tu veux dire quelque chose, go for it.
Ben, ça, c'est une communauté francophone, je veux dire, sans avoir eu dans mon cheminement, si je serais pas ce que je suis aujourd'hui. Alors, c'est sûr que le monde au Dundee, puis à Dundee, puis dans le nord du Nouveau-Brunswick, si ça serait pas avec leur aide, je serais pas ce que je suis aujourd'hui.
Hey.
So, certainement, un gros merci à eux autres.
J'adore l'accent acadien. Love it. I love the accent. This was perfect, Marlène.
Yes. I was just going to say both of those things.
No, but basically we salute the Dundee community and everything they've done for her and stuff. So, shout out to them. And I want to come visit now.
Yep.
It's on the map.
I love that.
It's beautiful out there.
Of course, we have to round out the rivalry series. The Game 3 is happening this Sunday, November 20th in Seattle, Washington. For the PWHPA, we've got Pittsburgh, November 26th, 27th, with clinics on the 25th. And of course, All-Star Weekend with more details to come in Ottawa, December 9th to 11th.
You got it.
Schedules, tickets, and more, pwhpa.com. From the Knoxy Kax Show, I'm Liz Knox, this is Karell, and this is Marlène Boissonnault.
Ooh, not bad.
We're signing off. Thank you so much.
Thanks for being there. Thank you, Marlène.
That was a blast.
The Knoxy and Kax Show on SDPN, produced in partnership with the PWHPA and presented by Sports Interaction, Canada's sportsbook. Follow Knoxy and Kax on Twitter at 27Knoxy and at Karell Emard. The views expressed are those of the individuals and are not necessarily those of the PWHPA. Check out sdpn.ca for more Knoxy and Kax and the rest of the SDPN crew.
She scores!